So you guys are out by your pool or you're out enjoying the sunshine in the spring or summer, and all of a sudden all you hear is your dog next to you, who was just laying there peacefully, start itching and itching and itching and itching. Today we're going to talk about the top 10 causes of why your dog might start itching. So enjoy. So the number one we're going to talk about is topical or exposure to environmental allergens through the skin. And this happens when pollen or mold or dust mites absorb across some damaged or compromised skin. And this can happen anytime when there is a break of the skin. So that can be something along the lines of super dry skin or inflammation from an injury or something else can allow that pollen or that mold to go across the skin in the paw pads or elsewhere on the body and can actually absorb and cause an inflammatory reaction to the skin, and then can spread to other parts of the body as the inflammation spreads. Number two, exposure to allergens such as cigarette smoke or dust, or again, pollen, mold, all of those other things that we'd already talked about, through inhaling them. And this can sometimes and rarely cause respiratory things like we see in people, but much more often this is going to cause skin issues, the same as it going across the skin and absorbing that way. Any way that these allergens can get into the body is going to cause some sort of allergic reaction in some dogs. And when this happens, it'll cause a lot of itching and release of those signaling molecules that are gonna really signal inflammation of the skin. Number three is flea allergy dermatitis. And this happens when a flea bites a dog and it develops an allergic reaction against some protein within that flea bite or that flea saliva. Flea allergy dermatitis, and this one can cause some super severe itching, and even a single flea bite, if a dog is highly allergic to the protein in the saliva of a flea, it can cause such severe itching that it can be difficult to control by any measure other than making sure that those dogs aren't bitten by fleas. So make sure that you're thinking about flea and tick prevention for your dog. Even if you're not living somewhere where you think there could be fleas, there probably are. Number four, food allergies. So occasionally dogs, probably about 10% of our allergy cases in general, are food allergies, and these are absorbed across the gut and will cause very similar itching patterns to that of a normal exposure allergy or an environmental allergen. And this is usually against the proteins in food. So think about beef, chicken, eggs, milk. Those are kind of our top four causes of a food allergy. It's extremely rare that it's going to be a carbohydrate such as corn, wheat, or any of the other grains. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about your pet food and if your vet wants to do like a diet trial. Number five, hot spots, otherwise known as moist dermatitis. And this happens when there's some moisture or breakage of the skin that allows typically a staph infection or a bacterial infection to occur on the skin. And this will really allow some severe itching because that does not feel good. And it will cause some ulcerations of the skin, and the bacteria will get a hold and it won't be able to heal over. Often just getting air to this is enough to help, but it probably won't cure it without some antibiotics. So talk to your veterinarian if your guys are dealing with hot spots. Number six is anal glands or anal sacs, and these are little sacs on either side of the anus or rectum, and they can get impacted and make their rear end really itchy. So they might be scooting, they might be rubbing on the grass or the carpet or anything along those lines, and they also might be outside or inside and itching really badly towards their back end, licking, any of those things. And impacted anal glands can happen for a multitude of reasons, so talk to your veterinarian and they can probably express these for you and talk to you about ways to prevent this in the future. Number seven, sarcoptic mange. Now, sarcoptic mange is not very common where I am practicing currently. However, it does happen in other places of the country much more often. It's a mite that burrows into the skin and causes some very severe inflammation, and this causes them to be extremely itchy. This is probably in the top 2 of the severity of itchiness. This one is very easily prevented by doing proper flea and tick prevention, and really, this one is not common. Like I said, this one's often gonna be caught somewhere outside from a wild animal or another dog that has it. Number 8, a yeast infection, otherwise known as skin fold dermatitis. And this happens usually in dogs like a Shar-Pei or a English or French Bulldog, pugs, anything where they have a lot of extra skin and they really can't get that area to air out very well. And when a yeast infection happens, it's usually because there's a lot of moisture and it creates a really good environment for the fungus to grow. The most common yeast that we see is called Malassezia dermatitis, and this happens very frequently in dogs and usually is gonna also be part of a lot of ear infections. Number 9, primary skin disease. And this happens when there's some sort of trauma to the skin. And this can create, during the healing process, a lot of pruritus or itching. And this happens because the skin cells are stretching, the skin cells really are still healing, and that process can be super itchy. So if your dog had a cut or a scrape or a burn or any damage to the skin, sometimes this can happen while it's healing. And if you're not careful, this actually can also lead to your dog starting to lick that area and make it worse and cause even going back to like a hot spot or another type of skin infection because they're licking this already compromised skin. Number 10. This one is rare and doesn't happen very often, but sometimes some cancer can actually cause skin lesions in a dog. Things like a mast cell tumor or lymphoma, and there are several other ones as well. So if you have a non-healing lesion on the skin that's super itchy or bothering them, make sure you talk to your veterinarian because this could potentially be cancer, but they would have to definitely go through and check and do some diagnostics to see one way or the other. Thank you guys so much for joining. This was the top 10 reasons that your dog is itching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe, as the next video that's gonna come out, we are gonna go over what you as a pet owner can do to help mitigate and prevent some of these things. And maybe not all diseases can be fixed at home, but there definitely are some things that you can do to help your pet feel more comfortable, even if they are dealing with some of these things going on here. So have a fantastic rest of your day, and we will see you in the next one.